The candidates flip the coin to see who would have the opportunity to speak first. Who would like the opportunity to speak last? Darrell Bowden won the toss and was elected to speak last. Let the debate begin. Mr. Coleman, your opening statement.
First off, I'd like to thank Commissioner Marlowe and the students of Newberry High School Student Government for putting this debate on. I'd also like to thank all the commissioners that I've been with for the last 2 years, the mayor, the city manager, and all the city staff. We haven't always seen eye to eye, but we always have found a way to get the job done. Thank you.
Mr. Bowden, your words.
I would like to start by introducing myself. My name is Darrell Bowden, and as some people know me on Facebook, probably as a ping pong ball, because I've been bounced around there quite a bit over the last few weeks. And I've lived in Newberry 53 years. I've been married to my wife Jody for 31 years. I have 2 grown children that both attended Newberry schools. And I've been asked several times why I'm running for city commissioner. And I have said this, and I will say it again, that I am running because some citizens of Newberry have asked me to run. And I can understand why, after putting my name in the hat, why more people do not get involved in politics in the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bowden. All right, the first question comes to you, Commissioner Coleman. You keep saying that you've lowered taxes for the citizens. If that's true, then explain why the millage rate and the fire assessment, which are the only taxes that the city of Newberry receives, increased in both the years 2014 and 2015.
Well, to start off with, taxes in the state of Florida is probably the most extreme complex tax code that you can compare to most states that is put out there by the Department of Revenue. I'm a property appraiser here for Alachua County, and there's things that confuse me sometimes that I have to get more clarification on. But the big thing is, what you got to look at is the last 2 years, we have not went above the rollback rate. Now, I can spend an hour explaining how the rollback rate works, but this is where I'm going to go, and you can get with me afterwards if you want to know how it works. But the first year I was on, our rollback rate was 4.04. We moved it to 3.91. That's below the rollback rate. Second year was 4.003, and now it's at 3.950. Just to touch a little bit, every household, every business depreciates. We had health care went up 3.2%, fire department budget went up 12%, and that money went to personnel and raises. We also had $48,000 added for capital outlay, which was that tanker truck that we had. And one good thing about that, though, with getting the tanker truck, our ISO ratings should go down, which that helps every citizen here on their homeowner's insurance. So that's where I'm at.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Mr. Bowden, this is Coleman's question to you. In the past 2 years, there have been significant changes made in the city's budget and overall philosophy when it comes to what our primary focus is as a commission. Do you agree with these changes, and why or why not?
Some of the changes I do agree have been good, and then there are some that I feel are an expenditure of money and things that are on the budget, such as the utility bills. They get changed where we don't know really what we're paying for our utilities. My utility bill in 2015 for 7,000 gallons of water was less expensive than it is in 2016, that bill that I just received.
Thank you. Commissioner Coleman, the second question for you is, what made you decide to run for city commissioner 2 years ago?
Well, I was involved with a lot of youth sports here in Newberry, and I started attending meetings and And the biggest thing I seen here was a lack of transparency with everything, commission and with a lot of the employees here. And once I got real involved, I started seeing what the debt service was here for this city. It was unbelievable. And I'm not blaming any of the prior commissioners or administration here, but that burden of debt service is on every taxpayer in this audience and everywhere else is watching it. It's on TV, and that's and with my banking background, I knew there was a way that we could get rid of some of this debt service. Interest rate never goes asleep. So with that, we've gotten rid of the motor grader with that, because that interest rate was sky high. There's the dozer and a couple of the loans. That's the direction that I want to go in, and that's why I decided to run.
Thank you. We will now move on to the citizen questions.
The first question will be directed to you, Commissioner Coleman. What do you think is the appropriate role of government in the city?
I apologize, I keep wanting to mash the button because of being up here all the time. Well, the biggest thing, appropriate role for government is being physically conservative, working with your staff. The main thing, and one of the other ones is having transparency through with your citizens, with everybody that is involved with the city. So,
Mr. Bowden, your thoughts on the role of government?
I think the first thought is to working with the citizens, listening to what the citizens have to say, going out and meeting with the citizens, and not expecting them always to come to you. You have to go to them too. You have to reach out to them. If you do not do that, you lose their trust.
Thank you, sir. All right, the next question is to you. How do you feel about the selection of Manager New and his role of redirecting the city?
Well, I did not meet the other 4 candidates, so therefore, as far as a selection between the 5, I could not say. My thoughts with Mr. New, I have had one dealing with him. I thought it was way overthought in the process of it being worked out. I'm not for sure exactly what the starting salary suggestions were for the city manager when that all come about. After talking with several citizens, and I feel myself, $105,000 a year seems excessive for a city of this size to pay a city manager. That's it.
seeing that I voted for him, will I be able to respond to that?
Of course, Commissioner.
Well, the city manager, Mr. New, brings a lot to the table here. And he is, I know I keep bringing up transparency, but there's no closed doors with Mike New. The big thing with him is that, and I don't know how it's out there now, but the man has found well over $300,000 that we knew nothing about, and brought that money back to the city of Newberry with different things that were lost in the shuffle. So if you take $300,000 in his first year, he's well paid for himself for 3 years. So that's all I got.
Thank you, Commissioner. Now, this question is directed to you.
Okay.
Do you feel that the citizens and the city have grown apart in the last few years?
No, I don't at all. I actually, I believe that we're molding ourselves back to where it should be. The citizens have got a lot of ways to be informed here. We even have a new phone app. There's a lot of these things that were not happening before. We had FBI investigations. We had all that. You're not seeing that So I don't see the city and the citizens growing apart. I see all the city commissioners that are well involved with functions around town. It seems that we all seem to get along. To where in the past, it looked like the commission was just totally split apart. So, no, I don't see that at all.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Bowden, do you feel as a commissioner it is your job to have a say in personal changes and the hiring or firing of employees?
I don't think it's a commissioner's responsibility to hire and fire. I think they should have an input on when there's personnel changes, when somebody is getting terminated or disciplined. I think they need to know. I have been a manager for 32 years, where I've dealt with people all my life, and I know from that experience as being a manager, there is always two sides to a story. And there is times when a supervisor can, off the cuff, just say, I need to fire this gentleman or this lady, and it be completely unnecessary because it was a misunderstanding. And when you hear both sides of the story from a neutral party, you say, yes, maybe we shouldn't get rid of this person, or maybe we should just discipline this person.
All right, now we'd like to take a minute to do a 2-minute crossfire. If there's anything that your opponent has said that you'd like to address or call them upon, you may do so now. So, Commissioner Coleman, you can go first if there's anything your opponent has said that you'd like to call him on.
Being respectful here, I really would like to know who your backers are. I'm worried that who we got out the last time when I ran, I hope that they're not in your back pocket, because we got them, the citizens spoke and we got rid of them, and I hope that's not who's backing you. These people that you keep saying that are telling you what to do. So.
They're not telling me what to do. I am talking with the citizens. I have talked to, 300, 400 citizens in the last 3 weeks. I'm going door to door. I'm talking with anybody that wants to spend the time to talk. I am communicating with them. I do not and will not indulge who is supporting me. If they have a sign in my yard or in their yard, you will know they're supporting me. I will not put a sign in the right of way. I will ask permission from the owner of the property or the house or the business. They will put them in that business, or I will put them up for them. And after what I've taken the heat off of Facebook and things that have been said about me and my family, I will not say who those people are that I have talked to.
Thank you, sir. Is there anything you'd like to call the commissioner on?
You know, when you say we communicate well with the citizens, how many citizens in Newberry do you think does not have Facebook? I found a lot that don't even have internet. It was a little bit shocking. A lot of people don't have smartphones, and very few people have Cox cable in Newberry.
Well, I wrote down here some of the things how do we get to the citizens? And I'm being slow here, I'm sorry. Phone apps for smartphones, as he had mentioned, social media on our website, cable, and we posted the post office, grocery stores, utility bills, those types. I don't think you ever go into Newberry that if it's at some kind of function that you can't come up and ask us, because we're always around everywhere. But last but not least, and you still, I wrote this down, the citizens still have to engage themselves too. I mean, the citizens need to come up and, if they can, if it's possible, come up here and get engaged. I see a lot of times people are coming to me and I'm like, this is the communication that I don't ever know. Well, just call me. I'll always give my phone number out. Just give me a call. So.
Commissioner?
Commissioner Coleman, what do you think is the best way to inform citizens that the commission will be having a vote that may affect them?
The best way, I'll be honest with you, I've been trying to get a billboard right out there in the front where people are driving by, they can actually see it. It hasn't been in the budget, and we've been cutting it for the last 2 years. But the 4 things that I have just mentioned about getting out important votes. I mean, come on, the commissioners are all part-time employees. We all have jobs, we all have families. So that's where it goes right back to being, you know, if you're aggravated because you didn't know about it, then apparently, and if you don't have all these types of communication, then come up here and get engage yourself. I mean, I don't know any other way. I can't afford a airplane with a flag hanging out the back of it. But engage yourself. I would love to see more people. I've been up here, there might be 1 or 2 people at the meeting. I mean, and I love my city. I want people to be engaged. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Bowden, what are your thoughts on the commission's decision to opt out of the MSTU for law enforcement and go with a contract with the Alachua County Sheriff's Office?
I feel that opting out of the MSTUs is a very good thing, but the timing of this is not the best. We had a meeting that was only talking about the MSTU. The sheriff herself stated that she would not recommend opting out at this time. Our attorney advised us that it probably was not the best time to opt out of the MSTUs. And yet our commissioners decided that we ought to go ahead and do it. If Sheriff Darnell is not elected to sheriff this next upcoming year, we are not guaranteed a contract with the sheriff's department. If that new sheriff comes in, yes, people have shook his hand and he says, yes, I'll do it, and he does not honor that contract, folks, we are without a sheriff's department in this city. We only get what the county offers us, and your commission has done that to you.
I get a rebuttal of that, right, because I voted on it?
Yes, you do, Commissioner.
Thank you. Well, here's the deal. And you can call the 5 commissioners up here a bunch of trailblazers if you want to, but, you know, me as a citizen, and I get a tax bill, wait a minute, let's change it this way. Let's say that you go down to Cash and Dash and you want to go buy a nice car down there, okay? But the gentleman down there selling it is telling you that 4 to 6 months I'm going to tell you what you're going to pay. How many hands can I get up in the air that will say, yeah, I'll do it that way? I don't think anybody would raise their hand that way. We're trailblazers, because you know why? We went into a contract. We have finally we have put her in a corner where you got to give us what the price is going to cost us. I don't know how you can get any better than that. Now, well, thank you. Where we're going with this is going to open it up for more of a cafeteria plan. Hey, if you don't, we want to hire our own crossing guards because it's cheaper. We don't want that part in the contract, because I can tell you, and he is not correct there on the we won't have law enforcement. You know, when that contract runs out, you can go right back into the MSTU. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have, since he addressed you, Mr. Bowden, do you have a response to what he said?
So we can go right back into the MSTU at the end in November.
No, sir. We can go, when our contract is signed and done, we can go right back into the MSTU after the year is up.
Okay, so if the sheriff in November is elected out and the new sheriff decides, I don't want to honor this contract, does he have to honor this contract?
Yes, he has to honor the contract.
I'm sorry, I disagree, he does not.
It is a contract with the sheriff's office. It is not a contract with Sadie Darnell. Thank you.
All right, this question is addressed to you, Mr. Commissioner. What do you perceive as the three most important concerns facing the city of Newberry?
Okay, I got a lot of concerns here. I'll pick out the best ones I wrote in here. Well, let's say number one is, actually is our lack of infrastructure here. We had the five commissioners and 3 that are the last 2 years have tasked staff to work on the urban services area, which is imperative. And we've also, working with Mike New and the rest of, with his background coming from Alachua, finding the funding sources for this infrastructure so we can bring business in. Number 2 is, which we just talked about, the MSTU and law enforcement. We finally contracted with ASO, which is, which will lead to these cafeteria plans. It'd be great to go in there and say, that we don't want this. We don't need it. We've been pushed in the corner. Now we're starting to turn the tide here. And number 3 is these enclaves here. We have the most enclaves in Alachua County. Our city looks like Swiss cheese. It's unbelievable. You look at an area map of it, you'll go, my word, I can't believe it. I mean, this guy can be living here. I can hit a golf ball to Coleman Hill down right over here off 337, and it's not in the city limits. But I can go all the way out here to the race track out here, and there they are. So getting rid of that, these enclaves are preventing growth, and we need good, smart growth here. Those are my 3.
Thank you, sir.
We're now going to move on to a citizen question. This is going to be for both of you. We will start with Commissioner Coleman. Will you please outline your platform?
Fiscal conservative is one of my platforms. Number 2 is transparency for the city is one of my biggest platforms. And I'm going to use this. I'm going to use this because I use it in business before I went to work for the county. Is synergy. It's the worst thing in the world is not to have synergy. Here you got the boss, and then here you got these different departments, but everybody's all against each other. I'm starting to see that this town is synergizing. It's unbelievable, and to stay on top of Commissioner New and and with his directors to keep it that way and keep it synergized, keep everybody happy here. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bowden,
Could you repeat the question, please?
will you please outline your platform?
My platform is I am wanting to do what the citizens of this community want. I want to communicate with the citizens, and I want to follow in the citizens' direction, not a few people that want to tell me how to do things and how to vote.
Thank you. We're going to go back to the questions you've written for each other. This is to Mr. Bowden. Being a commissioner not only requires thick skin, it also requires a significant amount of time if you want to be effective. Many think the job is just a couple of meetings, 2 or 3 times a month, but there are many hours spent researching to make the most informed decisions possible. Do you feel you'll be able to dictate the amount of time necessary to perform your duties?
Most definitely. For 33 years, I have worked in production, in factories, and like I say, managing people. There has been many a time that I have worked 70, 80, 90 hours a week. I can prove that with time cards back when I worked at Hunter Marine. In 2009, when the economy slowed down, I opened my own business. I traveled all over the southeastern United States working on boats or yachts. I then got a job at Little River Marine, I run that company for the last 7 years. A year ago, I decided that I was going to give up my yacht repair business. I gave it up, and I work 40 hours a week for Little River Marine, and the rest of my time can be dedicated to this city.
Thank you very much.
Now, the next question is directed to you, Commissioner Coleman. Can you explain why service charges have been added to the water, wastewater, and electric for a total of $23.50 this year?
Yeah, I can. Let me get over to my water part. I knew that one was gonna come at me. I just had a, well, with the tiered system here's where we're at. The county is constantly being, is pounding the city of Newberry for conservation. So, with this tier rate, we are rewarding the people that aren't using as much. You gotta understand, our infrastructure for the sewer plant and all, I mean, it doesn't run itself. We've been below, I guess we say we've been losing money. So the only way to make it, I believe, fair is, and I believe because it was a unanimous vote, is to tier it. If you want to use more money, more water, that's fine. Use it. We don't care. Really, we don't. But you're going to pay for it, and but in that $23, that's automatically a part of your base rate. You're going to have a base rate on it. But the more water you use, the more it's going to cost you. But you got to, once again, you got to understand, we've been well below, and it's losing money, and we can't do that no more. Let's physically run this the right way.
Thank you, sir.
Can I respond to that question?
I'm here.
Of course. Then my question still remains, why is my bill, when I use 7,000 gallons in 2015, is it less money than me using 6,000 gallons in 2016? I used less, I done everything I could to lower my bill, and it still went up.
Do you have a response, Commissioner?
I don't, that's an individual, I would have to look at the details of his bill. I'm not the utilities director, but if he wants to get with me after this, I'll look at it.
Thank you. The next question is to you, Mr. Bowden.
Okay.
You stated that you want to do what the citizens want you to do. How do you decide which way to vote when a citizen is directing you one way and another is directing it a different way?
If there is a majority of the citizens, or a split majority, then maybe we need to have a few more workshops on that vote before we vote on it, or before we make a decision with that.
So you're not going to let your own personal thoughts influence your decision-making if it's a completely split group of citizens?
Anything I do up here is not personal. I have friends out there that I have known all my life that are backing Mr. Coleman. They will still be my friends after this election is over. If they choose to be an acquaintance of mine, that is only by their choice, not by mine. I promise you.
Thank you, sir. Now let's move on to a citizen's question. Directed to both of you. We'll direct you first, Mr. Bowden. Are you in favor of essential services over non-essential services when it comes to the budget? And if so, could you please define what you think of as an essential service versus a non-essential service?
An essential service is something that we all have to have. A non-essential service is something that we need to discuss with the citizens. If somebody says, and I know everybody's going to say, well, he keeps saying the citizens are who these commissioners work for. They don't work for the mayor. They don't work for Mr. New. They work for the citizens of this community. And if the citizens of this community cannot speak, then we all might as well go home. That's all I have.
Repeat it one more time.
Are you in favor of keeping all the essential services and non-essential services in the budget, or would you like, or And what do you view as an essential or non-essential service? And what do you define as each of them?
Well, yes, with essential services is a no-brainer. It's gotta stay in the budget. I mean, things that you gotta have. Non-essential services, we have, you know, we have workshops, plenty of them, when we start getting into the budget cycle. These workshops, unfortunately, a lot of people don't come here to them. I said, I got two buttons right here, but I do see it quite a bit, but they're not here. The non-essential services that will come up, if it's imperative to the city, and it's something that is going to, not gonna have adverse effects to the city, it'll be discussed in the workshop. So that question's kind of tough until it's actually brought in front of us on that.
All right, thank you. We will now go into another crossfire. You may address specific things that one of you has said to you in this debate.
We used to vote in melons, didn't we?
Yep.
Go ahead, that's you if you want to.
I don't have anything.
I might. Give me a half second here. I wrote a lot of notes today, been studying here. Crossfire on this. You know, I'm good. I know, I'm not gonna mention the one I did. I'm good.
All right, thank you both.
All right, let's go to you now, Commissioner Coleman. Could you explain to us the cafeteria style of plan that you've been mentioning throughout this entire debate? And can you tell us what services might be discontinued if you pursue after you've explained this cafeteria style?
Well, you know, it's called baby steps. That is what I call it. That we, with a cafeteria plan, you start off. We get into this contract with ASO, and then from there, their services. I don't have any services that I know that I want to drop right now until we can look at them. But if something came up that looks like, hey, this isn't cost effective for the city, why do we have it? That's when that's when it's going to be debated in the workshop, because that's what we're going to have when the contract comes up again. And hey, we're going to look at it and say, hey, I don't want this. And I'm talking to me as a citizen at these workshops. But that's what a cafeteria plan is. That's part of the contract. And that's also part of the process of finally getting that over there, because the MSDU it's not a cost effective for any of these citizens that are out here. So.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Coleman. Mr. Bowden, what skills do you have that you think will help you be the most qualified for this position?
Well, I've been a manager and a supervisor in the marine industry for 33 years. I'm loyal, I'm trustworthy, and I'm willing to listen to the citizens and what they have to say, and I'm available.
All right, thank you.
Here, we'll move on to a citizen's question now. This will be directed to you, Commissioner. Of the 440 cities in Florida, only 34 have municipal electric utilities. What are some things you would do to improve our electric service?
Well, I thought we were improving it. I've probably seen less squirrel comments in the last 7-8 months. And Mike New's done a great job of bringing in our utilities director. And he's just a good old boy too, but once you start actually talking to him, he's like, dang, this guy knows it when it comes to our electrical service. You know, once again, I'm gonna go back to, the smartphone things. I mean, they've even brought in, if my power goes out, my smartphone, maybe it's working. I can go on here and contact the city immediately. No, another thing is we also have a 24-hour hotline. I mean, we never had this. You can call here, call the hotline. Hey, squirrel got in the transformer. It's here. So, you know, I think we're heading in the right direction when it comes to our utilities.
And now, to you, Mr. Bowden, how do you feel we could improve our electric services here in Newberry?
One is we need to check the rates. The rates are the same as they were in 2015. I've done the math. Unless somebody's getting a different rate than I'm getting, which I can't understand that, my rates is, I think, 1/100 of a cent different than they were in 2015.
Thank you, sir.
Can I rebuttal that?
I saw you took some attestment to that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we actually, overall, I think you probably seeing anywhere from $4 to $6 difference in your utility rates. But, you know, that's the advantage of the city of Newberry. I hate seeing our mayor, you know, he's gonna be retiring, and he's the big guy with this. He's with all these cities, he's really involved. And Mike New is now too, which has brought it down. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
We're going to move on to another citizen question. As we all know, government works in levels. Rules come from federal, state, county, city, and school board tiers. How will you work to change and improve codes, school needs, and infrastructure? So Bowden, you can answer this first.
Could you repeat the question?
How will you work, or what will you aspire to do when it comes to changing and improving school needs, infrastructure, and just the basic workings within our city?
Well, the workings from within the city needs to be done and addressed throughout the city. We know we have code enforcement, but we don't have a lot of bite in our code enforcement right now. There are areas in this city that need to be cleaned up. There are areas that need a lot of work, and we need to work on those areas with the citizens.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Coleman?
Well, he is right. Code enforcement, there is no bite. It's got to be pretty tough on this dude. But we're once again baby steps. I mean, we inherited a lot of things here. Last week we had or it might have been 2 weeks ago, we had a workshop just for signs. Trying to get this road and working with the sheriff where she can start enforcing some of this. Number 2 is home rule. The 5 commissioners that sit up here, home rule has been big. The county has tried their best to infringe into with the city of Newberry. And if you don't stay on top of it, they're gonna keep coming right on in. We're the city of Newberry. We're not Gainesville. We're not Alachua. We're not the Alachua. And when the county is trying to come in and infringe on things that we don't. Number one, hey, there was 5 commissioners at the Alachua County. I'm just using one example. When they wanted to go in and do these sewer rates on us. 5 of us, all 5 were there, screaming, yelling, whatever it took. But look, the city of Newberry will take care of our own. Home rule is one of the biggest things that we need to be concerned of, and that's what we're doing.
All right, we'd like to address a question to you, Mr. Bowden. Okay. You said that you want to represent the people as you feel like they've lost their voice. There have been several questions you posed to you by the citizens on your Facebook page that you've taken several days to respond to. Social media, love it or hate it, has become a very important conduit between the commission and the citizens that you want to engage. Do you feel that blowing off these social media questions is the way to stay connected with your citizens?
Anybody that's been on social media in the last few weeks knows exactly what's going on there. My phone number's on my Facebook page. I am completely available. I have email. You leave a message, I will comment on it. I will not comment on Facebook because of what is going on there. This Saturday, my wife was basically called a liar when she went to a commissioner's wife's door, okay? It was a misunderstanding. When I got home, I asked my wife, I said, what happened? She said, I said some things that probably come out wrong. She goes, because I don't know exactly what I was maybe talking about, or maybe I presented it wrong. My wife even asked the lady, do you want my husband to come by and explain it? She said no. Before I got home, my wife was called a liar on Facebook all over the place. And people call me when I signed up to run for commissioner, why are you running? Nobody called and said, hey, what's going on over in Country Way? Why are you spreading lies? Nobody picked up the phone and called me then. But they were very concerned. All of a sudden, it's all over Facebook. And then so my family gets attacked because of it. I almost stepped out of this race, and I said, I'm not going to do it because the citizens of Newberry need a change.
Thank you, sir. Now, we'd like to enter one seemingly last crossfire phase. If you have any grievances or any questions you'd like to ask your opponent, you may state them now. Mr. Coleman, you first.
I want to go back to the social media. Last time I ran, it was really, it was probably, I've heard it was the worst race ever, and social media played a big part of it. But you got to have thick skin, and a lot of times people want to. That's the only way they communicate, especially the younger ones. So when you're being hit with a question, sometimes they might not want to call. Are you not going to at all? Is that what you said? You're not going to comment at all? Because we get stuff from the city of Newberry on those pages too, questions and stuff. So I just want to
Has
know.
our attorney, the city's attorney, not advised us to stay off of Facebook? I believe they have on several occasions.
Okay.
Do you have any things you'd like to address the commissioner on?
No, I think that's it.
All right, we'll take this question that's recently come to us from a citizen. They ask, recently there was a vote to put our waste service provider out to bid. It's been 10 years since it was competitive and was competitively bid. Should this service be put out to bid, or should the city continue with the current provider? Mr. Coleman, you first.
It should be put out for bid. I'm going to tell you, Waste Pro has, to me, has been, working with the city has been impeccable. But yes, it is time to look at it, and I'll be honest with you, because as good as Waste Pro has, I'm actually rooting for them to hopefully that they'll be the winner on this, because they are local, they're in Watchwood and all that. So yeah.
You, sir?
Did you vote for putting it out to bid or for not putting it out to bid on the last vote at this commission meeting?
I voted against it, and the only reason I voted against it is because the Relay for Life, the Watermelon Festival, all these things that they do for the city. Well, hey, there was 2 of us that voted against it, but the way I look at it is I'm for it now. I'm okay with what they do.
Okay. Thank you both. Now, please, if there are any more citizen questions, please address our 2 lovely student government officials here. If you have any of them, please don't be afraid to ask. No question is a bad question, obviously. final question we will ask of the clerk of the after the final question, of course, for the citizen. So first, Mr. Coleman will speak his final, and then Mr. Bowden will, and then we will have our closing statements by our fellow moderator here.
So this is the final question. Okay. Just wait.
Can you read it? Thank God. Yeah, they go to school to get ready.
Sporty pants back
Yeah, you keep coming by the later, I don't know.
All right, the first question is asked, what is the millage rate exactly? How does it affect us? Coleman first.
Okay, what millage rate? Are you talking the city, or are you talking the county? Are you talking overall?
Overall.
Overall, rollback was 3.9. I don't know what the county's is. I really don't.
How does it affect us?
How does it affect us?
County millage rate?
The county millage rate or the city millage rate?
City.
City.
Well, it affects us by helping for infrastructure, fire, you name it, everything for this. I don't think I understand the question, to be honest with you. You don't, okay. But I will say this, a lot of people say, boy, wow, my taxes went up. Well, a lot of times if they look, yeah, they're going up. They're going up by, a lot of times they're on their county side. They're not the city side. Majority of the time, that's what it is. Especially with the 5 commissioners we got over there. They have been doing nothing but going up. So it's not always just, it's not the city's, millage that's going up. When they're looking at it, you also got to look and see what the county is.
Can I respond to that?
Of course, it's open to you as well.
If any of you would like to take out your 2014 or 2013, 14, and 15 taxes and compare them over those 3 years, you will see that the taxes that rose was the MSTUs, which are the Municipal Surplus Taxing Unit, which is our Sheriff's Department, and the City of Newberry's millage rates, and also our Fire Department, the Valorum tax, which you will never hear me complain about our Fire Department one bit. They are the best department we have in the nation. I guarantee you, I will put that crew against any fire department in the nation in their rescue. They do a fabulous job.
So since this was my question, you said our rates were higher than 13, 14, and 15. Is that right?
Our millage rate, yes, sir.
Are our benefits better or worse? In the city of Newberry, I feel that what's
Hey, I'll go back to this. Here's the deal. He brings up the MSTU. We have no control of the MSTU. There is no, so he's saying that's went up. Yeah, it's went up. I agree with him. That's why we went into a contract.
And I'm not for sure why we as commissioners, or y'all as commissioners, haven't been arguing with the county about raising the MSTUs.
Okay. I'm not going there on that one, but here's the other thing. Here's the other thing. Our rollback rate, once again, our rollback rate, my first year in, 4.04, 3.91. Second year, 4.003, 3.950. It's public record, and that's what it is. Taxes have not went up. Sorry.
We'll have two final questions before your closing statements. All right, first to you, Mr. Bowden. What is your stance on the whole Springs County thing?
I think Newberry needs to stay Newberry. We need to quit trying to outgrow our boundaries. We can't maintain what we have now. Why should we try to grow bigger?
I get the answer. You know, Springs County, it's a great concept. It really is. And it goes right back to home rule. I mean, all these smaller cities out here out west have been pounded on. I mean, really. I mean, when your own county sues a city in your own county, there's a problem there, a major problem. So I can see the direction of Springs County and why they're you know, people are really getting behind this. But that's my feeling on it. But I don't know that I'll see it in my lifetime. It'd be nice, really would be. But, go ahead.
Thank you both. And now for the final question, first directed to you, Commissioner. How important is integrity to your decision making?
It's the number one thing. Integrity. You got to stay on top. You got to be above board on everything you do. And number two is this job, for the little pay that we do get, which we've taken a cut the last 2 years. I want that to be known too. But this job takes a lot of studying. My wife hates it. Honey, I'm sorry, I can't help you cook, I gotta study. These are the things so integrity is the number one thing. It's imperative.
Thank you, Mr. Bowden.
I would definitely agree that integrity is the most important thing of being a commissioner.
Now finally for the final closing statements of you two first, Mr. Coleman.
Okay. First off, I'd like to thank Commissioner Marlowe and his students. I'd also like to thank Mr. Bowden. I think this was a great way to show the differences between the two of us. I would hope when you go to the polls on April 12th that you would remember the changes that I have helped bring in the last 2 years. Some of the dynamics here is a new city manager that's actually finding things and helping us here. A resurrection of the Nation's Park, which is now Champions. It's really coming together now, which is I love it. Increase in our city's transparency. Infrastructure improvements that we've been making here, improving employee morale, increasing our customer service with all these apps and 24-hour service stuff, lowering our utility rates, and keeping your taxes as low as possible. And I'm going to leave you with this one question to think about before you vote on the 12th. Is the city better off than what it was 2 years ago? If you'll look back at what was going on 2 years ago. Thank you for all coming out. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Mr. Bowden, your closing.
I would like to thank all of y'all for coming out this evening. I would also like to thank Commissioner Marlowe and the student government for putting on this debate. I had a pre-written thing, but I'm going to kind of skip over that. I'd like to thank Mr. Coleman also for having this debate with me. You know, I've never run for a city commissioner. Well, actually one time many years ago when I was very young. And I have learned a lot with this experience so far. And we're going to find out on April 12th where the citizens stand in this community and how they think we can go forward. I'm in it to win this election. But whether I do or not, Mr. Coleman can be graded on where he stands at in this community as a commissioner. Thank you.
Thank you both for your closing statements. As we conclude tonight's debate for City Council